This is the story of William T. Anderson, aka Bloody Bill, told with as much impartiality as I could get brave Leo AI to tell it with. William T. Anderson, universally known by the terrifying moniker Bloody Bill, stands as one of the most chilling figures of the American Civil War. Not for his military rank or strategic genius, but for the sheer ferocity of his personal vendetta. Born around 1840, Anderson was a young man whose life was defined by a rapid descent from a local farmer's son to the leader of a ruthless bushwhacker band. His story is a harrowing case study in how the collapse of civil order and the brutality of asymmetric warfare can transform grief into unparalleled violence. While often associated with the Missouri borderlands, where his violence was most concentrated, his origins were in Kansas, a state that served as the crucible for the border war ideology. Driven by the summary execution of his father, the destruction of his home, and the death of his extended family at the hands of Union forces and local collaborators, Anderson abandoned all pretense of conventional warfare. He became a symbol of the border war's darkest days, a man who operated outside the laws of war, targeting specific individuals with a cold, calculated rage that earned him his bloody name. His life ended as it began, in violence, cut down near Fort Blair in 1864, leaving behind a legacy of terror that remains a stark reminder of the human cost of civil conflict. Yeah, his life ended as it began, in violence. Okay. I'm sorry, I don't have time to edit this. The betrayal that forged Bloody Bill. William T. Anderson, known universally as Bloody Bill, was not a born killer, but a young man radicalized by a specific sequence of betrayals and losses. The story of his descent into one of the Civil War's most feared guerrillas begins not with a battle, but with the actions of a man he once trusted. The father's death and the judge's betrayal. In early 1862, the Anderson family, residing in the volatile border region, was caught in the escalating violence. Anderson's father, John Anderson, was a farmer and a man of standing. He was a secessionist, but he had maintained a relationship with Judge William A. Hall, a local figure who had himself once been a secessionist before switching his loyalty to the Union. The turning point came when Union authorities, seeking to crush guerrilla activity, targeted suspected sympathizers. Judge Hall, now a staunch Union loyalist and acting as a local authority, identified John Anderson as a threat. In a move that would define Anderson's entire life, Hall reportedly provided the intelligence or testimony that led to John Anderson's capture. The hanging. John Anderson was arrested by Union Jayhawkers and, without a formal trial, was summarily hanged in March 1862. The official charge was aiding guerrillas, but the act was widely seen as a political purge. I should say, as part of a political purge. For young William Anderson, the fact that his father was killed based on the testimony or actions of a former friend who had switched sides was a profound betrayal. It transformed a political conflict into a deeply personal vendetta. He did not just see the Union as an enemy, he saw them as traitors to the bonds of friendship and community. the suffering of his sisters, and the collapse of home. The trauma of his father's death was compounded by the Union's scorched earth policy. In August 1863, General Thomas Ewing issued General Order No. 11, forcing the evacuation of 4 Missouri counties. Displacement and death. The Anderson family was forced to abandon their home. During the chaotic evacuation, the family took shelter in a vacant farmhouse that collapsed. Anderson's aunt was crushed to death in the rubble. The fate of his sisters. His sisters were left destitute and vulnerable. While historical records vary on their exact fate, the consensus is that they suffered immensely, with some accounts suggesting they died of exposure or disease, while others indicate they were left to survive in a hostile, depopulated landscape. The destruction of his family's home and the death of his aunt confirmed Anderson's belief that the Union, led by men like Judge Hall, intended to exterminate his family. See, I didn't want to read the Wikipedia entry because it was too slanted towards the Union point of view, but according to Wikipedia, as I remember, like one sister died when a jail she was in collapsed, I think, and the other sister was maimed somehow. And in the song that I'm about to play, Brian sings that they disfigured her. So this overview is presented for what it's worth. Okay, the turn to violence, from grief to Bloody Bill. Anderson's transformation from a grieving son to the feared Bloody Bill was a direct response to these personal losses. He joined Quantrill's Raiders, but his operations quickly became defined by a personal vendetta against those he held responsible. The Lawrence Massacre, August 21st, 1863. Anderson's unit participated in the raid on Lawrence, Kansas. While Quantrill was the overall commander, Anderson led a column that was particularly ruthless. The raid was a direct retaliation for the Jayhawker raids and the perceived hypocrisy of the Union, which had destroyed Missouri families while claiming to protect them. Anderson's men killed approximately 180 men and boys, burning the town. To Anderson, this was not indiscriminate murder. It was the settling of a score with a community that had hosted the men who killed his father and destroyed his home. The personal hunt. After Lawrence, Anderson's operations became intensely personal. He began targeting individuals who had testified against him or his family, or who were known Unionist leaders. He's credited with killing Charlie Rose, a Unionist who had testified against Anderson's family, and hunting down others who had benefited from the destruction of his home. His nickname, Bloody Bill, was earned through these targeted, brutal acts of vengeance. The cycle of retaliation. Anderson's actions were a mirror of the Union's tactics. Just as Union forces used collective punishment, evacuation orders, burning of homes, summary executions, to break the will of the guerrillas, Anderson used terror to break the will of the Unionists. He believed that by killing enough of the enemy's supporters, he could force them to retreat or surrender. His murder spree was, in his mind, a justified war of retaliation. He was not a psychopath in the modern sense. He was a man who had lost everything and had adapted the only language he knew, violence. The Union's brutal counterinsurgency measures had created a vacuum of law and order, and Anderson filled that vacuum with his own brand of justice. The end. Bloody Bill Anderson's reign of terror ended on October 26, 1864, near Fort Blair, Kansas. He was shot in the back by a Union soldier, by some accounts also named William Anderson, during a skirmish. His body was mutilated by a mob and parts were taken as souvenirs. This gruesome end was a fitting conclusion to a life defined by the same brutality he had inflicted on others. Okay. Conclusion. William T. Anderson's story is a tragic example of how war, particularly a civil war within a civil war, can dehumanize individuals. Okay, blah, blah. I don't need your conclusion. That's the story of Bloody Bill. And I apologize for any inaccuracies, gentlemen. I'm just going to go ahead, pause this, and get set up to play the song. Be back shortly.
You never want to put a man in a vengeance state of mind. Revenge is the one thing that keeps some men alive. And if you harm a man's family and lay him in the dust, you might awaken the terror of another man's bloodlust. We can choose a side, fight for what's right. Be careful not to lie, that anger inside. Did you mean to kill our sister? You turned our hearts bitter, mister. Janie told me the whole account. We couldn't turn away the blood count. Guess I could have gone on and licked my wounds, but my hate for you kept me around. I took out Judge Baker for killing my father. Just one reason I rode with those marauders. He killed one sister, disfigured the other, took out cousins too, the younger brothers. Did you think you'd get away with your sin? Here come the raiders, here comes Bloody Bill again. I took a bullet in the head, the heat of battle laid me dead, and I was buried in an open field where Cole Younger prayed as he kneeled. I was moved to Richmond, Missouri, to the old Pioneer Cemetery, and here's where I rest in peace, knowing I still haunt your dreams. I took out Judge Baker for killing my father. Just one reason, I rode with marauders. You killed one sister, disfigured the others, took out cousins too, the younger brothers. Did you think you'd get away with your sin? Here come the raiders, here comes Bloody Bill again. Here come the raiders, here comes Bloody Bill again.